Hello and welcome to my channel, Becoming Bev. Today I'm coming to you from Minnesota. So I've been on a bit of an adventure. Misty gave me a kitchen pass and let me leave the campground for a few weeks. And last week was my birthday, so I decided that I wanted to wake up somewhere beautiful on my birthday. I took off in my van. My first stop was Kansas City, Kansas. I did my favorite thing, which is mooch docking, and I did that with my friends Don and Becky Noon. Don and Becky were very gracious hosts. They treated me like a tourist and took me around to show me some of the highlights of Kansas City. I had no idea Kansas City was so awesome. They took me to the World War I Memorial. We stopped at Sawyer Castle, which is an area that Don grew up in. So he had stories for me of him being a child, and his childhood friends, trying to go up near the castle and the caretaker always running them off and things like that. So it was interesting for me to get a little bit of Don and Becky's history. The two of them have known each other since like second grade, which is remarkable in itself. And Don also let me do a tour of his van, Pirates of the Caravan. I look forward to sharing that one with you. They also took me to Joe's Kansas City Barbecue. Joe's is an old gas station that used to have a barbecue stand, but the barbecue stand did so well that it ended up taking over the whole gas station. We stood in line there for about 40 minutes and made new friends, and Don very graciously gave this family a ride back to their hotel. That's the kind of guy he is. When I left Kansas City, I headed west. You never know what you're going to run across when you're driving, so I found these concrete teepees that had apparently been flooded a couple of times. They had water lines to show how high the water had come up. One of them was from June 3rd, 1935, and the other was from July 13th, 1951. It's crazy that these teepees have withstood these two major floods like that. And apparently you can also rent them. My next stop was Wilson, Kansas. Now this place was a bit of a surprise. I look for unique places to eat and not fast food, so I found this place called Grandma's Soda Shop and Diner. It's a small restaurant in the downtown area. And while I was there, the waiter asked me a couple of questions and then asked me if I'd seen the round jail in town. And of course I hadn't. I didn't do any research. I just wanted to go to the restaurant. I didn't know there was anything else to see. So after my meal, I went around back behind the restaurant and he met me out there and unlocked this for me.
Pretty cool, isn't it?
Wow.
Like I said, you don't see very many.
No, I wasn't expecting that. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
And this is from the prison of Alcatraz. So, and then this walk is also, and these came from the same place as well.
From Alcatraz?
Yep.
Wow, look at the size of those.
Especially those that go hard.
Yep. Thank you so much for showing me this. It's crazy.
Yeah, not a problem.
And it was originally constructed in 1907. The water tank on top serviced the area residents, and then for a time, the bottom part served as a jail. It was a cramped space, and apparently they had several people in there at a time, so it was kind of like a holding tank until they could cart them off to county jail. The waiter even shared with me that for a time, the city allowed a homeless man to rent the water tower to live in. I believe they charged him $1 a year for it. Now, this water tower is normally closed to visitors, but if you ask around town, apparently several people have a key and they'll take you in there and let you take a look at it. Now, the other thing that the waiter told me is that I shouldn't miss the world's largest Czech egg, which is also in Wilson, Kansas. The egg is 15 feet wide and 20 feet tall. Apparently these Czech eggs, they're kind of like our Easter eggs. So they're exchanged at holidays and special celebrations, and they get pretty elaborate from the looks of it. They're a symbol of new beginnings, love, friendship, and good things to come. Now, like I said, I had this idea that I wanted to wake up at the Badlands on my birthday. And so I headed west. I got a GPS coordinates for some Bureau of Land Management, some BLM land that's right on the wall just outside of the Badlands National Park, where you can literally park your rig right up next to the edge. And I thought that's exactly where I want to wake up on my birthday, so I did that. I spent 2 days hiking and exploring the park, and when I say the Badlands looks otherworldly, it absolutely looks otherworldly. You feel like you could be on Mars or a different planet or something. The Badlands are just a wonderland of deep gorges and massive buttes. And they're all these different colors. Some of them even looked a bit like candy corn. I did a couple of hikes while I was at the Badlands. I did Saddle Pass Trail, which is an interesting hike because it's very steep and there's lots of loose gravel on it. It's pretty tricky coming down. I saw a few people coming down on their rear ends, just like sliding down some of these steep gravel passes, but the view from the top was spectacular. Now in this picture, I'm gonna show you this little tiny black dot. That's a person up there at the top. So I hiked all the way up to the top so I could have my picture taken up there too. Now the second hike I did was called the Door Trail.
Good morning. Today is my birthday and I wanted to be somewhere really beautiful, so I chose the Badlands National Park in South Dakota,
where you really get to walk around out on the terrain and see the gorges and just the majesty of the place. I stayed at the Badlands only for a couple of days. My timing wasn't great. The highs while I was there was about 106 degrees, so it was pretty hot. It cooled down fairly well at night. So anyway, I got my generator out and the generator only ran about 20 minutes and it shut down, like it overheated. So I decided to go ahead and leave and head for someplace cooler. Now I haven't rechecked my generator. I gave Larry a call and Larry said possibly set the thermostat a little bit higher so the generator is not running at such a high rate. So I'll try that next time, but I haven't tried it yet. Next, I headed for the beautiful Black Hills of South Dakota. I went to Custer State Park and booked a campsite at a small family-owned RV park called the Roost Resort. If you're in the area, I recommend this little family campground. You wake up, it's a wooded area and there's also like a beautiful field where I saw deer out there grazing several times. It's close to everything too. It's close to the Crazyhorse Memorial, Mount Rushmore, and Custer State Park. Now the first day driving through Custer, I only saw one buffalo and there were about 40 people on the side of the road taking pictures of it laying down over in the grass. So the second day when I went back, I asked the park ranger, where can I find the buffalo? So he circled a couple of places on the map and I took off. And when I say I saw a buffalo, there were so many buffalo. They were rolling around in the dust. Little babies were there with their mamas and they were on the move. They clogged up the roads, traffic couldn't get through, which was fine with me because I was enjoying being a part of the herd. I got a giggle out of the sign that said watch for buffalo on the road. I wasn't in a hurry at all for that evening to end, and I pretty much stayed and watched until the buffalo disappeared over the horizon. I stopped at the Crazyhorse Memorial, which is a mountain monument. It's constructed on private land and was commissioned by Henry Standing Bear, a Lakota elder. It was to be sculptured by Polish-American sculptor Korczak Zukowski. I hope I said that right. And construction began on it on June the 3rd, 1948. Now, to get an idea about how big this sculpture is, Mount Rushmore fits in 2/3 of the face and the headdress. This thing is massive. They'll still be building it for decades to come. I watched the introductory video at the Visitor Center and I was quite moved by it. The Crazyhorse Memorial is only about 20 miles from Mount Rushmore, so I stopped by there too. A visit to the area wouldn't be complete without a stop by Mount Rushmore. The 4 presidents chosen at Rushmore represent our nation's birth, growth, development, and preservation. The 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore are Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Lincoln. This monument was partially created to draw tourists to South Dakota, and I think it's been very effective doing that. Mount Rushmore has about 2 million visitors every year. Now, after leaving Mount Rushmore, it was a pretty warm day. So driving back, I spotted a lake called Horse Thief Lake. So I spent the rest of the afternoon at the lake. That's one of the cool things about traveling in my van is I have everything that I need with me all the time. So I just put on my bathing suit and spent the day swimming in this crystal clear, ice cold mountain lake and loved every moment of it. Wind Cave was my next stop. Now when you go to Wind Cave, I had read that you want to get there early, that the tickets typically sell out in the first 2 hours. So I got there at 8 o'clock. The line was pretty long already when I got there. I stood in line for about an hour and ended up getting in on the 9:40 tour. Wind Cave is interesting. It didn't have like stalactites and stalagmites, which a lot of the caves that I visited have. So what I was told is Wind Cave is a dry cave, so it's not going to have that. What it does have is these calcite formations known as boxwork. In 1892, it opened up for visitors who crawled through some of the areas of the cave and toured it by candlelight. I made a stop at this quirky little place called Carhenge. It's Nebraska's answer to Stonehenge. It was created by Jim Renders. Carhenge is a replica of Stonehenge, but it's been created from automobiles, mostly from the 50s and 60s. The dimensions of Carhenge are the same as the dimensions of Stonehenge. So I have more to this adventure, but I think this is enough for today. I'll create a video of the second half of my journey, and if you keep watching, I'll keep posting content.